How's it going? Welcome back to the most electrifying podcast into the 716. Before I get started, we're going to tap in on socials. I'm going to bring everyone in. Don't forget to check our Facebook, our website, lots of stories, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Are we still doing
TikTok?
that?
We're on TikTok. That's true.
Right.
And YouTube.
And of course, as always, I'm joined by KJ Zalazinski, Justin Cjack. Guys, we got a lot to unravel. Mostly a good weekend, but we're going to get into Sabres first. I can't wait to talk about the Bills. Let's get into Sabres. They split the weekend. They lose against the Jets, and they take one against the Blackhawks. KJ, talk to me about that Jets game and kind of what you felt, what you saw.
Yeah, Jets game wasn't bad, but it was just a tough start, and that's what we've been talking about for the Sabres for a while now. It's just been they have a hard time starting off the game right. You know what I mean? It's nothing like that. The Blue Jackets game with Tajer scoring
It's kind of the theme in Buffalo sports.
Exactly. It's just
slow starts.
Slow starts.
It's always
so
a slow start.
With the Jets, it was down 2 goals again. Then they bring it back up 2-1. Jets score again. It's 3-1, and Sabres score one more at the end, but they just can't seem to find the rhythm to get that that tying goal to bring it to overtime. So just a little disappointing. But again, you do have Tuck, who comes off an injury and he scores. So that's really good to see. I think again when you see someone coming back off an injury, you just hope that they're not like still shaken up from whatever they were suffering from. So like it's good to see him back in there. JJ Peterka, who I'll get into at the end of the Blackhawks segment here.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Ends up getting a goal as well. Eric Comrie in the net. I know you were saying earlier, let in a kind of a softball.
Mickey Mouse shot.
Yeah. So it's been tough. So I think again, Comrie, as opposed to Alex Tuck, comes off an injury. He looks still a little shaky. But I think this Sabres do have a lot to look forward to in their goalie room right now between Levi, UPL, and Comrie. I think
it's a good issue to have. I wonder how much obviously a goaltender coming back from an injury and how you see the game changes a little bit. And obviously take some comfortability.
Yeah.
Justin, what did you see in that game defensively? Did you have any opinions on anything you saw? I thought Samuelson struggled. And I thought struggled.
It's been the theme all season, right? The defense is kind of leaving these goalies to hang out, and unfortunately that was the difference maker against the Jets. I mean, the Jets are a good team, right? They're 9-5-2 rather. So obviously in a better position than the Sabres currently are. But I mean, you got to have the defense step up at some point, right? You got to find the pairs that are going to work. And we need guys like Samuelson to step up, which I thought he played better against the Blackhawks personally. Agreed. But I mean, this is a young guy that we're really counting on. We're counting on Owen Power, and Dahlin's been up and down on defense all year long. I've liked Aaron Johnson.
Still leads his team in points still.
Exactly, yeah. And that's important to know. And obviously, he's kind of the face of the franchise now, tied into that long contract. But offense is always fun, but it's only going to get you so far. And the defense is going to need to step up. The Sabres want to make a real run here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because in that game, the Sabres outshoot the Jets 28-18. Yeah. And on those 18 shots, or 21 shots, I suppose.
Yeah.
Comrie lets in 3 of them.
Not a great look. Yeah.
And it's weird because the Sabres are physical. They matched, the Jets. 21 hits apiece. They were better on the face-off, which was interesting. They struggled. They've been worse.
Exactly. They've been getting better at the face-off, which is really good because I think that's kind of what's been hurting us.
Right. But defensively, I hated to see that Samuelson gets backdoored. Doesn't even look. He just looks confused. And then on that first goal, I think it was Johnson and Power just kind of gets split. Nobody really makes a play, and they score. But then kind of moving to Chicago. Chicago has Bedard. They're exciting, but they're not good.
They're not good.
And the Sabres win because of it. What can you guys tell me just about what you saw in that
it's
game?
a one Buffalo weekend. So it's really it's good to see. Again, it's always a fun night watching the game on the phone and then also looking up at the screen to watch the Bills play. It's good. So they take it to Chicago, and I mean, hey, like I said, really good stuff. JJ Peterka, again, 2 assists in this game. Like this guy has been unbelievable. And like I said, you have players that are kind of very up and down. Like when they're good, but when they're bad, they're just a non-factor. JJ Peterka is just flatline, consistent, good. So consistent. And again, I wish he had gotten some points in that one Flyers game some time back because that point streak
it was
undoubtedly would have been.
He picked right back up as soon as he lost it.
What about that confidence? Like to end up on a breakaway and to split defenders and have that confidence offensively, not just offensively, but defensively. Because if you're making a jump on a puck and you're hopping up in the rush, you could be leaving your team out to dry.
Exactly.
But he doesn't do that. He makes the most of his opportunities. He's smart with the puck, and he is benefiting. And the Sabres are benefiting because of it.
Exactly. And breakaways like that, too. I always tell players, right? Because, again, that first shot gets saved, and he stays with it and still ends up tapping in. The goalie looks around like he thought he just sweep through his 5-hole or something. So, again, I always tell him, just know, like, JJ is not one of the guys like that will turn around, smack the stick on the ground, get angry, go back to the bench, and punch a hole in the wall or something very, very focused on what he's doing. So again, if we had to highlight any player, I think from this weekend, it's JJ.
You got to argue that he's probably one of the better sophomores in the NHL right now, right? I mean, he's putting together a phenomenal season.
I think, like, based on expectation and what we expected by far, because his scoring ability is out of this world.
I was saying the Jets, Cole Perfetti's having a good season. He scored 5 straight, and they were in a row, and Jake Sanderson looks good over there. But, I mean, I can't complain. We get this guy, Paterka, electrifying, almost putting the spark plug of the team, right? Yeah. And he's only in his second year, so you got to be excited for what's to come with.
It just seems like the rest of the Sabres are up and down at their peaks and valleys. Like JJ Paterka,
I would argue Middlestat's been pretty.
Yeah, he's really
good. Yeah. He got on the board. Dahlian had 3 points.
I thought Dahlian did a really good game.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's just with that guy, like, you're gonna have such high upside, and then he's gonna have. It's like Josh. He's like the Josh Allen.
He is.
Of the Sabres. Like, he's gonna have plays that make you say, like, "Wow, that was awesome," and then, "Wow, like, I can't believe he did that."
In the same Blackhawks game. I mean, he has a goal, 2 assists, but then he has that one play where he's racing the guy for the puck, does Superman dive and chop at it and just gives it away to the
draft
guy.
him the very same year too.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so it's like some of them.
Zach Benson had a really good game.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think Zach Benson. No, I don't. Here, I'll look it up real quick to see how much ice time he had, which would have been, I think, 12. He had 12 total minutes, but again, out of that's probably the lowest on the team for that Blackhawks game.
Yeah.
At least in terms of forwards. Again, come on, guys.
Does he deserve more time?
He deserves way more time. I think, again, he's a playmaker, and he showed us that in preseason. Obviously, he is a very aggressive.
How about that penalty he had? That was ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I think he's had a few more of those where it's just, again, some really ridiculous stuff either way you look at it.
Yeah.
But it's just been tough. So again,
you have to have a goal yet, but I mean, the assist numbers are there, and when he does get that goal, to me,
it says like so much based on him not having a goal, but you like what you see. And then Eric Johnson to end it.
EJ,
like that is classic. That's not anything he's had in his career. Like, that's a snipe top corner.
Yeah.
And you sit there, you're like, wow.
I can't remember who said it on broadcast. He's like, "You're a defenseman. You're not supposed to do that."
Yeah, you're not. And he does.
Exactly.
Sabres win because of it. They snap a 3-game skid. And now for the more, what I think is exciting, because we've had such a small skid. Let's get to Sean Francois in here to talk Buffalo Bills and this New York Jets game. Let's get him in here. Let's talk. We have a lot to talk about.
There he is.
All right, here we go.
Sir.
Now I'm excited. I'm excited because over the last stretch of 5 or 6 games, I've seen a lot of football that I don't like.
So I'm saying we walked in here into this room, heads down, every episode.
And I thought there was, the possibility. I don't know if they thought they were going to lose, but is the offense going to have an uptick, et cetera, et cetera. What do we think about what we saw yesterday with the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I think going into the game, like any of these past games, the reason for that is like it's always such a big question mark now.
Yeah.
And it's like, will Josh perform how he has performed before? What will the play calling be like? And like, will the defense be able to make the key stops that they've been making time and time again? And now are they getting exhausted? And again, with the injuries piling up, again, it's all such a big question mark. So I think going into this game and watching this outcome, it feels right. It feels good to be back.
If I could summarize this game in one word, it'd be energy, right? I mean,
yes.
right off the rip, you get Reggie Gilliam, who lays wood on Xavier Gibson.
Love that.
And wow,
the Bills love that.
That was electric, and you only get 3 points off it, but it absolutely sets the tone for the team right away.
Well, I think that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have set the precedent that they do not take special teams lightly, and they've really kind of just stumped the last few weeks, and to start the game off like that with a boom from your fullback, like that kickstarts the team. I mean, obviously you get the ball back, they go down. Well, they don't go down. They get 3 points. But I love that you get to kind of make up what, especially with the Jets, that lost them the first game. But guys, talk to me. who stuck out to you? KJ, you start first.
Yeah.
Talk to me about who you think the player of the game was.
Man, okay, my player of the game, I think, has to go to the new pickup from Green Bay, Rasul Douglas. I mean,
Sure.
man,
Can't
he
argue against that, can you?
anywhere else. Again, it's
This guy's a CB1.
Thank you. I was
Yes.
literally going into
Yeah.
that. I'm saying like it's crazy that we were able to pick him up because he's a clear CB1 anywhere else. And I think again he's doing so much for depth for the side of Bills defense that have lost Trey White. Dane Jackson went out early. And then Taron Johnson.
Benford missed time earlier.
Exactly.
on in the
Benford
season.
missed time early. So again, it's a banged up defense, and Rasul Douglas was kind of the key to that. So again, with 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery, that hasn't been done. I think that was since '98. I think I heard the stat was something like that for the Bills. I mean, just fantastic.
Not only on his play, but in the locker room. He's 29, right? He's a veteran. He's been with good teams. And I remember I was watching the post-game conference with Micah Hyde, and he said he's a great guy, but he cheats a hell of a lot in Uno in the locker room. But I mean, you can't ask for more from the guy you pick with the deadline.
No, and I think they lose Trey, and they obviously lose a great player who's improving off an injury, and they also lose that locker room presence. So you get something in Rasul, and it's not just what he is as a player, it's as a person, the journey and the experience that he has on that journey. And I think that's something that Sean McDermott loves. And you're seeing it on the football field, but you're seeing it in the locker room. Like it's been a slow just rise of spirit and just kind of energy.
And there's a sense of dependability with a guy who's been in the league that long too.
Exactly. Deshaun,
So to pick up on your guys' energy, I feel like this guy has had a lot of energy the entire season, and it's big old Leonard Floyd.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
let's go
been
Flo.
doing it for us on the defense the entire time. Him and Von Miller both coming from LA. Everybody expected Von Miller to be the guy. That's why they gave him the money that they gave him. But injuries definitely did not give him that opportunity. And I spoke on this very early in the season. I was hoping that Leonard Floyd would be able to do what he needs to do so he can solidify a spot on the team just in case Von Miller was not ready and just in case it's happening and Leonard Floyd is stepping up and showing out. And with 2.5 sacks against the Jets, 3 tackles in total throughout the game, he's definitely one of those guys that were leading defense to go along with Rasul Douglas and setting a factor that made it a lot easier for us to win that game.
Yeah, and I find it interesting. Are the Buffalo Bills a better team with Von Miller off the field right now? Like, how do you keep Floyd Epinesa off?
Exactly.
I know Rousseau is banged up and he's dealing with a lingering injury, whatever. He's not himself, but those two have looked so good with Ed Oliver in the mix, and you put whoever you want at the one tech position, and they've looked so good getting to the quarterback, whether it shows in sacks, pressures, whatever. Like they are a presence in every sense. And Von Miller once again a goose egg and
I can't blame Von. They rushed him back, and he can't put weight on his ankle yet, and it just is what it is. He can't make a cut. So every time I see him rush, he's just going straight past the tackle.
Exactly.
He's getting pushed way back in the pocket, making no difference.
So you guys kind of brought up defensive players. I think you're going to go that same.
Yeah. I've been the biggest advocate for Ed Oliver since the day he stepped into
Ed Lasso.
I
saw that after that Sully last year. Oh my gosh!
I've been the biggest advocate for him. When we drafted him in 2019, that was like one of my top 3 prospects. He falls to us at number 9 from Houston, and a lot of fans weren't very fond of him. He gets the extension in the offseason. Man, that was a bad move by Brandon Beane. He hasn't shown much. Well, now he's shutting you guys up.
He's playing for him.
He is playing like a legit all-pro. He's got 6 sacks on the season, highest in his NFL career. And on top of that, he's causing pressure every time he's in. And he's learned how to use his leverage to his advantage because he's a smaller defensive tackle. And he's stuffing the run. He's opening up stuff for guys like Epinesa, Leonard Floyd. I can't say enough about this guy. He gets 2 sacks yesterday, and he really sets the tone for the defensive line.
Yeah, and it seems like he's stepping up with the loss of Daquan Jones, which is really unique because usually you lose that one tech D tackle and kind of provides that foundation and eats up blocks and gives that 3 tech, a place to kind of work with. But Ed Oliver's just doing it on his own, it seems like. Right. And while making it easier for Floyd and Epinesa and whoever else in football.
And I think a lot of the NFL fans, I don't want to say casuals, but they weren't paying attention to the film. Ed was playing out of position the past 3 years at one tech. And now you get a guy who Daquan Jones does come in, and he unlocks like this savage that is Ed Oliver. Obviously, he's out now, but they've made it work, and Oliver's just been just a consistent force on the defensive line.
Yeah. absolutely. I think my only thing for the defense before we get into your guy, I think is there were a lot of missed tackles yesterday too that ended up kind of hurting us. And I get it. I mean, right? It's not that easy to get that tackle, but again, just a lot of swipes, a lot of misses.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's just my only thing for the defense.
I think an interesting point that Sal Capaccio and Matt Bobay brought up on their podcast last night. The Bills did not allow Zach Wilson to complete a pass to a wide receiver. That is
all that is
playing from behind. Are you Tim Boyle? I think ended up.
Zach Wilson may also be one of the worst NFL quarterbacks I've ever seen play.
They said today they're benching Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
So Boyle gets to start on Black Friday. That's absurd to me. The Bills did that. The Bills defense did that.
This is kind of a tangent, but
you got to feel for Jets fans, though, man. Got to be crazy to think about your season being with Aaron Rodgers and now Tim Boyle. Tim
Boyle threw 1 touchdown in 3 years at UConn.
Yeah.
All right.
To like 13 or 14 interceptions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they trusted Mike White a year ago, so it really depends.
Do they move on from Wilson now? Is he getting shipped off?
Oh, absolutely. Oh man. I know Salah said he believes in him, but man,
no, he doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. You can only go so far with this many losses, and the fact that yesterday they get their first touchdown in the
41
something snaps.
Like,
come on, you got to move on. You really.
And then offensively, my players of the game, plural, because it's tough to pick between the two. Khalil Shakir and James Cook. I'll start with Cook first. This offense has to run through him. And I think the biggest difference from Ken Dorsey to Joe Brady, and we're going to get into Joe Brady, is just how they use James Cook. It seemed like they were so simplified with giving Cook the ball before, and then
we see him in the receiving element.
You see him in the receiving element. The runs aren't just so delayed draws, and the defense is there. I still thought there was some of that last night, but James Cook finished with over 100 yards, and I don't know that James Cook's had a great game or the Bills didn't have a great game. I think there's a heavy correlation there, obviously running the ball. And then Khalil Shakir snaps, the Jets' scoreless streak by wide receiver since Stephon Diggs with the longest touchdown of the season. I mean, Josh threats him, whatever, but he gets his first career 100-yard game. What do you guys see from that offense? And
you know what? This might be not even a hot take at this point, but Khalil Shakir is showing me a lot more reason to be wide receiver than Gabe Davis recently.
Yeah, 100%.
Way more versatile.
You said another
yards after catch.
Was it another donut last night?
Yeah,
Gabe Davis?
I don't even know if he had a target, to be honest.
Yeah,
no, he didn't. It was called back on penalty.
And obviously the Shakir play 81 yards, most of his yards there, but even the 27 yarder over the middle, and then the thing that I'm just a sucker for is yards after catch. And you see it on the 81 yarder. Also, shout out to Dalton Kincaid on that block. Knocks out 2 Jets defenders. Allows
swings the hip and just it's like a bowling ball.
Talk about him a little bit. Dalton Kincaid has been putting on a performance.
100%. Yeah, tack that onto the
fall of Dawson Knox, because he's been getting a lot more targets, and I think that speaks a little bit to more on why we haven't seen the targets going to Diggs and Davis, because Dalton Kincaid has been making himself very much more available for Josh Allen to see him on the field, rather than what we've been seeing from Gabriel Davis, who we're hoping is open in the spot wherever the play is drawn up for.
Do you know that there's only 4 AFC tight ends that have more receiving yards than Dalton Kincaid?
Name them.
It's Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Evan Ingram, and Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Evan Ingram, and there was one more. I'm sorry, but the 4th or 5th in AFC out of all tight ends, and obviously Mark Andrews out for the rest of the season. He could make a push for a Pro Bowl ballot.
I agree, but I want to kind of transition into same offensive talk. What did we think about Joe Brady in the game?
I loved it.
Justin, you start.
I loved it because on the last week's show, I mentioned getting the ball into the playmaker's hands and just letting him make Josh's life easy. And that's literally all we saw against the Jets. And we mentioned James Cook had the ball in his hands a lot more throughout the receiving game. Khalil Shakir, obviously, more yards after catch threat. They even tried to get Deontay Hardy going on a few things, and it's just that experiment has not worked all year.
It really hasn't. Any of the deep balls going his way.
Not Isaiah McKenzie.
No, they kind of shelled out some decent money to him too, which that's probably my biggest question mark of the entire off season. But I mean, you mentioned it. The running looked better. And we also saw a few scheduled runs for Josh Allen, and I thought a lot of people wanted to see that. But my biggest thing was just getting the ball in the hands of the playmakers, and we saw that a lot.
I agree. I think Joe Brady opens up the option for Allen to make better decisions. And I saw, again, flown around somewhere on Twitter, I think just the comparison of Dorsey to Brady, the amount of passes more towards the middle of the field here in the slot is.
We mentioned the vertical concepts.
Love it, exactly, and I think that's that's something that we've been lacking so far, has been hitting guys in stride over the middle. Again, that's what happens on Shakir's route is over the middle, right? A good dart, and then he just takes off and goes.
It's a perfect call against his own defense.
Exactly.
And it's exactly what that was. I thought Joe Brady did a great job with that. I think I'm going to have Deshaun talk about it a little bit more next, but just those runs. Like I'm intrigued to see, obviously, you're not changing the system. Yeah. I think Joe Brady changed a lot considering it's the same system.
Right. Maybe personnel more than system.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, like, who's your run blocker at the tight end position? Is it like, who do you want in there? Dawson Knox is out. I think that hurts a lot in the run game. Yeah. To kind of change things up and be more creative. But Deshaun, tell me what you thought Joe Brady kind of offered yesterday offensively.
So what I thought Joe Brady offered offensively was to speak on what KJ was saying with the middle of the field, showing that it was open a lot more often, because what teams do schematically against the Bills is that they want to make sure that the outside and the barrier, what I like to call, is always contained and that they don't let anything go deep behind them. So Josh was actually able to take those underneath throws, and we even saw him scrambling a bit, looking for things, letting it develop a little bit more than he was when Ken Dorsey was at OC. So it's like Joe Brady is calling more plays that Josh probably feels more comfortable with letting it develop and seeing how it goes throughout.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be forcing big plays either. And again, the only play he forced was the Hail Mary.
I think there's a couple plays
that
were drew up for Gabe Davis that kind of just were duds and amounted to nothing. I don't know if that says more about Davis or just
Gardner was on Davis most of the game in that zone look. To be fair,
that was designed. I would like to get Diggs one-on-one with someone not named Sauce Gardner. They're watching what happened with Surtain and the shadowing there. But we're going to transition into now the Bills' playoff outlook going forward. As it stands right now, they are 8th in the conference. Houston and the Browns hold, and the Steelers are above them too.
Yeah.
Wow, isn't that crazy to think about?
It's not. The Steelers don't scare me. Mike Tomlin's going to finish with a positive record, I'm sure, but I'm not scared about the Bills, leapfrogging the Steelers. The Texans, the Cardinals had them on the ropes. Make Stroud throw 3 interceptions, and then
Texans are on a buzzsaw right now.
Yeah, it's tough. And then Cleveland's there. What do we think? Like, what do you? Is this Eagles game a must-win? I know we have the preview coming up for that, but like, how do you picture the rest of the season going?
I have reason to have optimism rather, because I mean, you look at the unfortunate injuries that have happened to the major quarterbacks of the AFC. Deshaun Watson goes out. I don't know if you want to call that misfortunate, but then you have Joe Burrow, who goes out with the torn ligament in his hand. That makes things obviously a whole hell of a lot easier. They were sitting at 5-5 as well. And then the Steelers, I have almost no faith in. That Kenny Pickett looks like a broken man. I don't know how he was a first-round pick, to be honest with you.
Jalen Warren is keeping that offense.
And yet he still got outrushed by Najee Harris.
Yeah.
Anyways, I obviously we talked about it earlier. Every game now is kind of a must-win, especially the AFC contests. But I mean, just getting on the board is going to be important for the Bills here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think again, schedule coming up is going to be Eagles, Chiefs, then what?
Well, Eagles by Chiefs,
Cowboys right after that.
Yep,
Cowboys, Chargers.
And so I think
Jets, Patriots.
Dolphins,
Patriots.
This 3-game stretch here is going to be crucial. Again, you have a bye week before you go on take on Kansas City in Kansas City, and again, I'm excited for it, and it's just it makes me really. I mean, it makes any Bills fan nervous, right? I mean, again, you just really crucial games. These ones will decide what kind of happens to our season. Now we do have a ton of help being thrown our way, help if you want to say it like that. But again, it's really tough to decide and look out at right now. I think if Josh keeps the same energy, right, that we've been talking about, that they just showed last night, I think they're unstoppable. I mean, any team that has that much motivation behind them to win, and whether that was because they were playing the Jets, and as Deion Dawkins said, he thinks they're a very disrespectful team. He's a humble guy, but
what has been your theme the entire season? Josh Allen is a rhythm quarterback.
Josh Allen is a rhythm quarterback. And that's not just anymore for game by game basis. That's for the season. You need to get in the rhythm of winning to be able to continue that success. And I think against going into playing the Eagles and then the Chiefs and then the Cowboys, I would say the Chargers if the Chargers had a better defense.
Yeah,
because Chargers might be a little bit of
maybe a better
breather game. It's better defensive mind. But again, now it's game by game. You have to get in a rhythm. So a win over the Jets is going to be super important heading into the Eagles. Eagles game?
Deshaun?
This Eagles game is going to be a big deciding factor for us because looking at the outlook for the rest of the season, without us winning this game, it's going to be very difficult for us to put us over anyone else in our division because they've been winning out and beating us a little bit. So when it comes to looking at the standings in the whole AFC, sitting at 8 right now, we can't lose to another team from the other division or the other conference, in my opinion. Every game matters, and we need to win no matter what. So that's how I honestly see the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, they have to win out in the AFC. Like, I would love to see the Bills beat the Eagles this upcoming week before the bye. At worst, lose and show that there's some kind of progress.
Right.
The one of the tiebreakers is your record in the AFC, and the Bills are a good one. And that's not going to help them if they end up at a wild card position.
Right.
But you can't come in off the bye and lose to the Chiefs. Like, that is your chance. It's never going to be any better.
Yeah.
You have to win one of those two games, either the Eagles or the Chiefs. You can't lose both.
Right.
And then you have to win the games you should, beat the Chargers,
Beat the Chargers,
showing you're the
yeah.
better team there, and beat the Dolphins. Yeah, that Dolphins game is going to have crazy implications.
Remind me, who are we trying to take out of wild card? Because that would be the Steelers, who are probably going to drop.
Yeah.
And again, you have a good chance there. And then what? I mean, you have to sustain that success, right? And how do you do that?
I mean, like you said, just making sure you win those conference matchups. The AFC is we put ourselves in a bad position, quite frankly.
Yeah.
What
the easy month of October that we were supposed to win out in.
Even with the Chargers, as bad as they are defensively, Justin Herbert
beat you.
he can beat even though
Your
the
team
against
can
the
beat him as well as the unfortunate part. It'd be a different story.
that's an away game, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
So you got to walk away with that one. Patriots, I'm fairly confident in. I mean, I'm not too much worried about that crapshoot right now.
So sitting at 6-5 now. I'll start with you, Justin. Where do you see the Bills ending up? Playoffs? Yes, no. If so, wild card. They're only a game back from the Dolphins.
I'll give them a wild card spot. That could be the bias in me, but I don't know. I as much as people like to crap on McDermott, I think he has established a good culture, especially when it matters down the stretch. So if they can just continue to string together important wins, what do we think at the end of the season? What do we envision at this point with their final record?
KJ, you tell me.
I'm literally trying to mark down in my head, like, who are they beating? How are they getting there? I think, let's see. You're probably looking at, frankly, probably like a loss to the Eagles, a win against the Chiefs, probably a tight win against the Cowboys. I mean, again, a great defense, but I think our defense locks down Dak Prescott any day. So you got that. And then again, with Pats and Dolphins, I could really
Chargers.
And Chargers. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Probably be able to end up squeaking by, with a 12-win record here.
I think the Bills lose to the Eagles and come out of the bye and win out. That's what I think.
Yeah,
and I could see them making it as the winner of the AFC East. I think the Dolphins not are frauds, but I think they're bound to lose a couple.
Yeah,
they haven't looked good.
Cowboys and Ravens.
That is in Miami, though.
That is in Miami. I don't think that they almost lost the Raiders at home. I don't think that matters.
I
Sean, you
agree
finish
with your
us off.
take. I definitely do see them winning out after that bye week. I just hope that they don't lose to the Eagles. That's the only testament that I would say to go against your take is that they lose and win out. I just want them to win out for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I agree. Ideally,
you have to build. You have to build some kind of confidence going into the bye, whether it's a win, whether it's mental wins. I know that you can argue that what's a mental win if you're not winning.
I think they started that already with the win against the Jets. So
you have to keep some kind of momentum. I would love to sit here and talk football with you guys all day, but we have to go. Thank you once again for joining us here at Buffalo Sports Insider. Everything sports, everything Buffalo. Make sure to check us out on our website, Buffalo Sports Insider. We have a lot of good stories coming out this week. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, we're on it. Follow us on it. Thank you guys. As always, have a great week. Go Bills.
check out that website.